Alright guys, welcome back to another video. I am going to be doing the heavy weapons today. I've already tried recording this one, so I'm just going to get straight into it. I'm going to re-review the AMR 66 really quick in correlation with the heavy, since it is a heavy weapon. And as you know, it's an aimed weapon that I went over last time. Gets 2 headshots up close, 3 at all ranges. Very nice gun. AMR 66 is a straight upgrade. Your directive variant weapons will be a straight upgrade to this gun. It's very good to get the directive version of this weapon if you like it. Very bad hip fire, but very good on heavy. With the overshield, this is what really allows you to punch through lines with it if you get good with it. Bam, 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 dead. Bam, 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 dead. You know, really be able to push the front with this. Like most things on heavy, which, you know, heavy is the push the front class, but it really makes the battle rifle a lot more usable and really helps it out a lot. So, just a very short overview with the battle rifles, because that's not the main point of this video. It's obviously the light machine guns and the MCG. Use it on heavy if you do enjoy using the AMR 66. You will magnify your combat effectiveness with this weapon. The overshield makes the weapon good. Moving on, the first weapon that isn't a light machine gun is the S tier light machine gun. It's the MSWR. Fires in a very fast 750 RPM, does 143 at 10 and 112 at 65. Reloads in 3.3 seconds and 3 seconds short. 50 bullets in the magazine. Good hip fire, average aim accuracy. This is the S tier machine gun for TR. This is the light machine gun you're going to want to use. It's very effective at all things and reloads quickly to keep up with enemy pressure. This is the type of light machine gun you would want in a game like PlanetSide. The only real downside to this weapon is that you need to run soft point on it now to extend out that potential, 4 headshot range. Since it is no longer 4 headshots at every range, it does drop to 112 now. And that drops your bullet velocity down to about 520. And the other disadvantage is that it has a weirdly high first shot recoil multiplier. It's 2.5 or something like that. It's pretty nuts. It's really one of the highest in the game, actually. One of the ones that's higher is actually, I think, for fun fact, is the Solstice, the default VS carbine. That thing has like 2.6. High first shot recoil multipliers are very detrimental to guns, but this gun has a decent enough recoil pattern that it doesn't really feel that bad, and you can eventually compensate for it. This weapon also does have access to an advanced laser sight, which does help its hip fire, but most light machine guns are not going to want to be hip firing. God, that alert thing is annoying. I gotta figure out a way to turn that off. You're not going to want to be hip firing these light machine guns. A long time ago, in a balanced note far, far away, they nerfed hip fire on LMGs across the board because they did not want people walking around at 1.0 ADS speed, just walking speed and being able to chain headshots. The laser sight is very weak on light machine guns simply because hip fire is weak. I'd recommend running the forward grip, honestly. On most light machine guns too. It just helps it more. Compared to the Orion, which is a similar damage, which is the same damage to profile, this thing is accurate for the first 6 shots compared to the Orion, but the Orion is more accurate at every shot after that because of its tighter bloom value. What this means is that if you can learn to burst, the MSWR will suit you better than the Orion, which is an interesting little facet. And the NS15M1 and the M2, if you're an old school gamer like me, is a... Oh, back really quick. Run soft point on the MSWR and a 1X. There you go. Back to the NS15. The NS15 is very versatile. It's the .75 light machine gun. Fires 625 RPM at 143. Does 125, so it's always 4 headshots. 600 meters a second is very high velocity. Reloads in 2.5 and 2.15. Short. 55 is an odd number, but you get used to it. Good hip, good aim. Do I have updated attachments on the other one? Yeah, I do. So this thing can be built in a numerous amount of ways. You can have the solid, I just want to aim forever, never do anything else loadout, which is compensator and forward grip, which is very good. Or you can go no barrel and laser sight and get good hip fire value. Very good. Since this thing's recoil is almost pretty much non-existent, you can basically run a laser sight and hip fire out to a decent distance, increasing the weapon's versatility slightly, especially since this thing has 0.75, and 0.75 is kind of nice to strafe lift right on already. And really, you don't need the forward grip on this, even with 0.75, because it's just that controllable. It's really up to personal preference how you want to build it. I run a 2x on it because the recoil is so low. I like to have a little bit more zoom power. And on this one, I would run HVA. You don't need to increase your maximum damage range by 5 meters because it's only one less shot to kill at any range past 10 meters. You might as well get that extra velocity and bump it up to about 630 meters a second. And if you're good, you'll always get 4 headshots. It's always 4 headshots at every range. So go for those dinks. Use HVA, I'd say, on this weapon. The downsides of HVA have been reduced for a long time. And it's no longer a shitty attachment. Bask in the fact that there are 5 NS15s. Yes, I will not review all of them. Actually, I will. This one is olive drab when you don't have camo on it. This one is tan when you don't have camo on it. This one's black, this one's gold, this one's platinum. Alright, I want to kill myself now. Because the next one is the Nsx Nagata Naginata. God, I fucking hate this gun. It got nerfed a while ago. The reload speed got nerfed, taking away one of the few advantages it had. And Jesus Christ. It's just, I don't like this gun. Anyway, I digress. Where's the correct site? The CCLR. There it is. So really the only way I think you can really build this one is with the compensator on and then either extended mags or forward grip if you like the recoil pattern. HVA, since you're never going to need soft points again. It's interesting, it does 150 at 10. That doesn't really matter a whole lot though. All it really does is extend the 7-shot body shot out just slightly more, since eventually it'll hit 143, but not very much. I don't understand why you'd want this damage profile. And there's no reason to have soft point on this damage profile either, since 125 is the minimum. So with the forward grip, it gets a little better in terms of recoil. This weapon's weird in that it's more accurate when you're standing still, but quickly loses accuracy when moving. I wouldn't recommend it. It's 659, 143 effectively, by the way. Does 490 meters a second, which is very slow. You need high velocity. Very fast reload at 4.4 and 3.2, but kind of meh. This gun requires you to stand still to get more accurate, and that in itself is kind of a death trap. You can use it while strafing, but it's not really that much better than like an NS15 or any other ES machine gun. The verdict on this, I don't recommend this. I recommend this at C tier. I think this is like C tier or lower. I would honestly skip this gun until you have excess certs. Don't buy it. It's not worth it right now, and I don't think it'll ever be worth it, honestly. The Rhino. The Rhino and later the Bull is, in my opinion, the Rhino is slightly less effective than the Bull, because comparing the stats to it, the Bull has slightly better hip and better aim on the move, and the Rhino, for some idiotic reason, was hit with the range nerfs and not the Bull. So we're going to see that very quickly the Bull becomes better than the Rhino, and I'll compare the two after I finish reviewing both. So both of these are 659 RPM weapons. They got buffed slightly from 652. They do 143. It does 143 damage at 20 meters and 112 at 65. 640 meters a second, 4.9 long, 3.9 short, 100 rounds in the mag, good hip accuracy, good aim accuracy. This has access to a advanced forward grip, and we're going to take the flash suppressor off for a second. Extended magazines as well, and high velocity ammo. You might as well run high velocity ammo on this just for the extra muzzle velocity. I don't really see a problem with having a little bit less 143 range, especially since it's 20 meters minimum or max damage. And then I ran a 1x on this thing. Now there's basically three clones of this gun, one on each faction. It's the EM1, and then the other one is the Polaris. The Polaris, yeah. This one, I think, in my opinion, is actually the best of the three because this one has access to an advanced grip and not an advanced laser, which the other two have. Again, why the laser on a light machine gun is kind of weak, considering they were all nerfed with hipfire. So we have the advantage as TR with having an advanced grip, and I think that greatly benefits us. That being said, the Rhino, in my opinion, is kind of a downgrade to the Bull, because the Bull never drops past 125 damage, which to me is much more useful than having 143 damage at 20 meters. The Rhino is a better support weapon. If you like spamming out a lot of bullets and staying behind people and kind of just plinking bullets on them, yeah, this thing's fucking annoying. It will do that much better. But the Bull has better hipfire accuracy up close and better moving ADS values, and never drops past 125, which means you don't have to worry about not getting 4 headshots or having your bullets be like pea shooters at range comparatively to the Rhino, which is kind of weird because the Bull is supposed to be kind of like a CQC support hybrid, and then the Rhino is supposed to be solely a support weapon, but the CQC support hybrid does better at range than the Rhino. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Also, it kind of looks kind of cool. It looks kind of cool with the snub nose, but in practical effect, I think the Bull is honestly just better than the Rhino in most cases. The Rhino should not have been hit with the range nerf. If anything, the Bull should have. And I to this day, I don't understand why they did that. I think they did it for consistency's purposes, since the EM1, the Polaris also got hit with it. But it really makes the Rhino kind of trash the fact that it doesn't, it drops past 125. I guess it's because of the 20 meters max damage range, but I'll never know for sure. I'll never know why they chose that instead of the Bull. But we play with the cards we are dealt. And the Bull, in my opinion, is a better weapon. It does not have access to an advanced forward grip, but the recoil is already controllable enough. It also comes with a compensator, whereas the Rhino does not, which is interesting. It reduces the velocity all around as well. I thoroughly enjoyed the Bull. I thought it would be much more fun, honestly. You also get to see your hands go like sonic speed. Rel, please change this fucking reload. Make it like a fucking banana clip or something like this. It's nuts how just absolutely insane this looks. It's like, who the fuck moves their hands like that? But yeah, so my personal final verdict between these two weapons, the Bull, in my opinion, is a better weapon than the Rhino, just where it matters. If you're gonna buy one, buy the Bull. It's a better assault weapon. It pushes the line faster because you have a shorter reload time. Sorry, it has better, as good muzzle velocity. The only downside is that it doesn't have. Actually, it does have high velocity. I thought it only had soft point. I'm an idiot. Ignore me. Don't use soft points, by the way. 125 min damage. Run a foregrip on this. You can even run a laser sight if you want to and take the barrel off to get laser sight accuracy and shit, and that's good. But I think this type of damage profile suits a better aimed playstyle with comp and foregrip. However, you can, let me just really quickly show you. You can get some pretty good hipfire. It's not the worst thing on the planet, but the rate of fire is also slow enough that it doesn't really support it as well compared to the MSWR. So, enough for this gun. that is the Bull. I recommend the Bull. I think the Bull is like an A tier, B tier weapon. Actually closer to A tier compared to the MSWR, which is like S tier. Use the MSWR and use the Bull later. Moving on to the chain gun. The chain gun only has rail attachments. It has the BRRT, which basically increases the increases the rate of fire. Sorry, it's 4 a.m. I'm tired. Increases the rate of fire from 800 to 845 and increases the spin up time. So it takes it takes a shorter amount of time to spin up to max RPM. This makes the gun competitive. However, it's still an uncompetitive weapon because it's a cone of fire only weapon, which hinders it. You do not get to aim it very much, and that holds it back a lot. That being said, it is out of the three, it is the most effective at the most ranges. Hello, friendo. You can cut down entire groups of enemies in just one clip if you can position yourself correctly, but this gun is basically CQC only. You see a bunch of people on Reddit crying that the MCG is overpowered, or not overpowered, but the strongest of the three because, you know, they get killed at 20 meters by it. It's a stray bullet or two that kills them at that range, because this thing being a cone of fire only based weapon is not going to be accurate enough to kill much faster than any other automatics. Like, you see that took like a solid 1.5 seconds. You know, you're gonna fucking kill with a light machine gun faster than that at this range, especially if the target's bouncing around and shit. You cannot accurately predict where the bullets are gonna go with this. Also has an extended mag and a laser sight. The laser sight just makes it so that running around with hip fire is as accurate as ADSing with it, and the extended mag, it increases the amount of bullets from 100 to 250. What's the defaults? 800 RPM, 143, 125 bullets in the mag, reloads in 5.4 and 4.4 basically, 500 meters a second muzzle velocity, which is slightly on the low side, 143 at 10, 112 at 60. And yeah, you've pretty much seen the aim and the hip fire values. I don't need to tell you them because they're on screen for you to see. Verdict, C tier. Don't use this gun, honestly. It's not that good. It is required to complete the heavy directive, though. The Carve, the MSWR's bigger brother, A tier. I'd suggest this. I'd suggest using it for quite a while. Put the forward grip on it. The laser sight isn't going to help you with it, with the hipfire being as bad as it is, and a 1x. This is a 750-143 weapon that drops to 112 at 65, does 600 meters a second, reloads in 6.2 and 5.4 short, 100 bullets in the magazine. Average hip, average aim. This is a lot of DACA, very fast. So, what is the comparison? That was some bad shooting there, by the way. Those last two targets. Where are the comparisons between the MSWR and the Carve, you might be asking yourself? Well, the Carve has better vertical recoil, or has more vertical recoil, but less horizontal compared to the MSWR. And it reloads longer, obviously. Additionally, it has 600 meters a second muzzle velocity, whereas the MSWR at most is going to have 550. So the T9 already has better muzzle velocity and shit. So if you can get over the reload, the Carve can be a competitive weapon. In fact, it can breach S tier in a lot of situations, but the reason I put it in A tier is because of the reload speed. The long reload really holds this weapon back. Not a whole lot, but it does make it so that you cannot continue like just 1v1ing people as like this reload. You know, I'd be dead 5 times over. Whereas with the MSWR, if I'm reloading, I'd be only dead, only 3 times over. Sunday's about to despawn as well. So because of that fact, I would recommend trying to. It has its place. It is an A tier weapon. It's a very good weapon, but will it beat the MSWR in a lot of situations? No, just because of the reload speed and the ability for you to continue pressing forward with the MSWR is a little bit better on that weapon. T9 Carve S, I don't like this gun very much, but that's personal choice. Has extended mags, forward grip, high velocity soft point ammo. I'd run soft points probably on this since it drops to 112. Run a compensator because it's the only thing that matters. And I'd say extended magazines just to slaughter a ton of kids. Now you have 200 bullets at 698, 143. 5.58 reload, 4.6 long. I think this is slightly longer than the Carve. No, it's slightly better than the Carve, my bad. And other than that, it has interesting recoil. It has its own sound profile too. Think of this like a cracked up Rhino or a cracked up Bull. The only problem I don't really like with this gun is that its recoil is slightly higher. It has Carve level recoil, it feels like, on a support weapon, which is kind of bad to sell. The Bull and the Rhino shoot slower, but they are much more controllable. Like, look at that, look at that, look at that recoil growth. That is nuts. Let us compare that to the Bull. Where is it? There's a lot of just redundant guns in the heavy category that are all just reskins. Yeah, that growth is much slower, and it's much more easy to control. So it tries to be a support weapon, and it tries to be an assault weapon kind of at the same time, but it fails to do either very well. If you wanted a support weapon, just get the Bull or the Rhino, depending on your taste. I'd recommend the Bull, obviously. If you want an assault weapon, get the Carve or the MSWR. There's no middle ground that this gun serves, honestly. Just go for one or the other, in my opinion. Moving on to the Butcher. The Butcher was going to have a unique mechanic, but due to the fact that apparently it was broken internally, we have this right now. It fires at 769 RPM, so basically 770. Does 143 damage at 10, 112 at 65, 600 meters a second. Reloads the same as the Carve, 6.2 and 5.4. 150 bullets in the magazine. Very nice hip and okay hip and okay aim. Actually, worse than the. Wait, what? That's interesting. The Butcher actually has better hip. I would have thought it was the opposite. I haven't looked at it in a while. Interesting, but yeah. So you might be wondering to yourself, well, why isn't everybody running around with this if it's so much better than the Carve? Well, one, it's a directed weapon that immediately limits the pool. Two, the recoil values are more. I think they're more intense on this gun. The horizontal recoil, especially on this compared to the Carve, is a lot more intense and has slightly more recoil. And for some people, that's a deal breaker, especially since the reason people take the Carve is for the high vertical recoil and low horizontal, because vertical recoil can be compensated for, horizontal not so much. If you have higher vertical recoil, that doesn't really matter, but since you have higher horizontal recoil on this weapon slightly, it tends to turn people off a little bit since it's, not as controllable, and it's only marginally better DPS. You're not going to be just, winning every gunfight just by selecting this weapon because it has an extra 20 RPM. That's not the case. So for some people, that's a real deal breaker. It is a cool, shiny gun. Last but not least, we have the support weapon. And the weapon that looks like a goddamn fucking heavy machine gun. The TMG-50. Sorry, bring tone. TMG-50 fires 577 RPM at 167, 10 meters, 125 at 75. Shoots 615 meters a second, reloads in 5.2 seconds and 4.2 seconds short, 75 bullets in the magazine, average hip, good aim. This is an aim only, pretty much. I don't run HVA because I like having 167 damage at 10 meters and reducing it to 8 for a little bit more velocity is weak, because I want that triple dink as much as I can, so I don't run HVA. Get a foregrip, get a comp, get a 2x or get a 1x, and go to town on these kids. Very good bursting weapon. Fun fact, apparently, according to Rel's long old video, on the TMG-50, this is tied with like the NS-15M for the fastest scope reset speed, so you can burst very well with it. Like, yeah, you can see it drops back to center pretty quickly. That makes it pretty good. I like this weapon. I've used it for a couple thousand kills. I think I've used it for 3,000, yeah. I definitely like it. It's a nice... It's not a 600 167 gun, but it is a nice 167 gun, and I like it. I think it's a viable alternative to your average MSWR. So I would definitely rank this at like A tier, B tier. Just going through them again really quick. MSWR is S tier. The NS15 is A tier as well. Once you get used to it, it's really only good once you can chain headshots with it. A tier, if you cannot chain headshots, it drops really quickly to like a C tier, or like a do not use type tier. If it's a Nsx Nagata, D tier, honestly, or F tier, whatever you want to call it, D or F. Don't use it, in my opinion. I don't like it, and I don't think it has a real niche that it carves out. The Rhino is B or C tier. The Bull is A tier. The MCG is like a C tier weapon, but it's required for the heavy directive. Don't use it. Carve is A tier or S tier in the correct situation. It depends. What we talked about earlier with that and the MSWR. The Carve S is like a B or C tier. I would not recommend using this gun. It doesn't do assault very well. You have less DPS. You have noticeably less DPS than the T9 Carve, and you don't have as much support kind of value as other support weapons. Butcher's like a or B tier, kind of same thing with the Carve. Since it has that downside, it's an A or B and not an A or S. And the TMG50, I'd put it A tier, solid A tier. Is it S tier? No, since it's not 600 167. But is it B tier? No. There's never a situation where this gun is bad once you get used to it, in my opinion. So that's why it sits firmly in A tier. And that's it. That is all the light machine guns. Hopefully I have covered everything for you. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. Hope this video is not too long, because I did ramble on for a little bit. Take it easy, guys. Bye.